saying congratulations on this album. It's an absolutely killer album, so congratulations.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad you seem to love it as much as we do.
So, mate, tell us a little bit about how the band came together. I know that Bobby Blitz gave you the idea of working with John Kelly, but how did that all come together for you two to set up this band?
Well, Blitz and I toured together with my band. Nonfiction opened up for Overkill in 1993 in America and Europe, and Blitz and I stayed in touch. And then I released a couple solo CDs around 2002, 2003, and nobody really loved them except for Bobby Blitz, so that was cool. And he ended up singing on one of my second solo album. And then in 2007, Blitz and I did a record together called The Cursed Room Full of Sinners. It's been out of print for a while now, but people still, it's kind of like an underground classic. But so I really kind of stopped playing music after the album with Blitz. But then around 2017, I discovered a band called Ancient Wisdom, and I started communicating with the singer Nathan Opposition. We did 4 records in 3 years, and then I kept writing music. So I did a record with Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys called Cash is King, and I just kept writing and writing. And Johnny and I always had some contact via email and Facebook, and maybe we do an all-star jam with, we'd be at the same place, but we never recorded anything together. And I kept writing so much. And my drummer, Ron Lipnicki from Cash is King, who I actually got into Overkill when they needed a drummer, he was in Overkill for 10 years. He was really busy. He's been in a bunch of cover bands, so I started sending Johnny Kelly some songs, and he loved it. So I'm like, all right, I got to think of a name. So I thought of Patriarchs in Black. And then we sent the song to Carl from, Corrosion of Conformity. And things just started moving really quickly after that.
So when you guys first got together, how did you know what sound you wanted? Did you talk about what kind of sound you wanted to create?
No, I just write. And Dave, I do something, I don't know if it's really unique, but it's not common. So what I do is I'll go into the recording studio and I'll just finish the song, just guitars. There's no drums, there's no singing, there's nothing but me and my guitars. And sometimes I'll record 3 or 4 songs in a day. Sometimes I'll record 8 songs. Sometimes I'll drive to the studio and just record 1 song. But it'll basically be pretty much a finished song. Like it'll be 2 rhythm guitars, probably no lead, but occasionally I'll do a lead. And then I'll hand that to whatever drummer I'm working with. So I handed Johnny probably about maybe 13 songs and maybe 3 covers we did. And then Johnny put his drums to it, and I got different bass players, or I played bass to a couple songs. And Johnny and I were thinking, since he's so busy, he plays every weekend with Quiet Riot, we thought, why don't we just make this really fun and have a whole bunch of different singers? So we started sending the music to a couple different singers, and then we got back the first song from Carl. He sang Demon of Regret, and we're like, oh my God, it's so good, man. Did we make a mistake? Like, should we maybe have just started a band with Carl? But then we started getting, songs back from other singers, and we were so happy that, we decided to go this route. And Carl ended up singing like 3.5, 4 songs on the album. So, but there's no preconceived notion. I just write music, and if Johnny plays drums to it, great. We're going to move on with it. There's a couple songs, maybe like 1 song he wasn't really vibing on. And then a couple songs where maybe the singers just couldn't think of a melody line. So I just write to write. I never have any preconceived notions.
You're such a prolific songwriter. What inspires you to write? Is it the world around you, what you're going through personally at the time? What is that inspiration?
No, whenever I pick up a guitar, so like I never practice guitar. Like I just play guitar. And it's like the way I play basketball. Like I love basketball, but I've never practiced. It's just, to me, it's not fun to practice and play through scales and stuff, or maybe just practice shooting foul shots. So I just like go upstairs in my loft and I play guitar to have fun. And I know I'm not a technically great guitar player, but it's not like, if I'm playing live with the band, it's not like I'm going to make a mistake or forget where I am. But I'm kind of limited. Like I'm not a virtuoso, but the gift I do have is I come up with a lot of riffs pretty quickly, and I really don't need anything to inspire me. I can write angry, sad songs when I'm married to my best friend and I love my job. Like, so all I need is a guitar in my hands, and maybe sometimes I'll pick up my Les Paul, but if I'm not feeling inspired on that, I'll pick up a different guitar and see if that inspires me. But normally it doesn't take too much. I've been on such a good run lately with songwriting. It's coming easier and easier every year.
Now, you just mentioned another big passion of mine, basketball. I have to ask, who do you follow?
Really?
Yeah. I'm a huge Brooklyn Nets fan.
Really?
Yes.
All the way in Australia?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
no.
well, so I was at the biggest, when I grew up, I wanted to be a baseball player. I was in the New York Mets, and then I discovered the guitar, and I really didn't care about sports, and I got back into baseball maybe in the mid-'80s, but then I became obsessed with the New York Knicks from around 1992 on. But since COVID, honestly, I just kind of redirected myself, and I thought to myself, I spend so much time watching these teams that I root for, and they never go into the finals. It's just so frustrating. So I just started reading more and playing more guitar, which helped me write more songs. So I can't say that I'm passionate about any team right now. I do read, like if the Knicks play, I might not watch them, but I'll definitely read the paper the next day to see what's going on.
Yep. I'm as a Nets fan, I'm definitely sharing that feeling of teams that are supposed to go all the way and aren't going all the way at the moment. So certainly know how that feels.
Yeah, and where I live, there's a lot of Knicks fans, but of course the Nets are very popular, and the Nets fans were getting all arrogant last, 2 years ago when they got KD and they got Kyrie, and they're like, oh, we're going all the way, screw the Knicks, and it's like, all right, but it's just, to get into the finals, it's not easy in any sports, just like music. It's like, I've never been to the finals musically,
Yep.
I feel like I'm good enough, but I just don't get there,
Yeah, and you never say never in sport. I watched my team that I barracked for in the football here in Australia break a 72-year premiership drought, so you never say never.
Okay. So you're telling me, Dave, that Patriarchs in Black, even though we have all the world against us as far as limitations, we're going to go gold.
Definitely, mate. This album is absolutely fantastic. I can see so many people here in Australia jumping onto this and bringing it back to the album. You mentioned the guest singers before. That brings another element to this album, but how did you go about picking which singers you wanted to work with?
Well, I was friendly with all of them, except for I had never had the honor of working with Dewey Bragg from Kill Devil Hill. Johnny knew him. I had no contact with him, and I've only, Johnny sent him a song. He said he was into it, and then I was kind of like nervous the first time speaking with the guy, because the last time he sang was for Bill Ward. He sang on Bill Ward's solo album right before COVID hit, and Dewey Bragg is just such a nice guy, and he's so talented. I don't think he even realizes how great he is. But all the other singers I was somewhat friendly with. A lot of guys from Jersey, like Jimmy Necco and Dan Nastasi. And there's this guy, Rob Trainer, who's in a band called Blackwater Rising. He sang the third song on the record, Submission Bell. But, because I've been doing this for so long, I know a lot of different musicians, and everybody we approached was like, yeah, I'll do a song.
Did you write songs with different singers in mind, or did that just come about after you'd written the track and then sat down and listened to what you'd recorded?
The only song I think that was inspired by anybody was a song I wrote called This Damn War. That was one of the last songs I wrote for the album, and I was just really falling in love with Carl Eagle's voice, after he sang Demon of Regret. And then he sang the first song on the album, I'm the Dog, which is probably my favorite song on the album. But I went upstairs and I started writing this riff. I'm like, man, this sounds like a Southern riff, and I'm not Mr. like Southern rock at all. But I started writing it, and I have an Abe Lincoln tattoo. I'm a big fan of it. I love reading about Abraham Lincoln. And I started thinking about, the Civil War, you literally had brother fighting against brother. So I started writing about that. And then like a couple days after I started writing the lyrics, the war in Ukraine broke out. And my original idea was to have like the Southern War thing, the Civil War, have like Carl sing a line and John Costco sing a line, because I've never had a song with that, with, a duet sort of with the vocalist. And John is like the biggest fan of Carl. And he was so excited to, do anything. So I would say the only song that one of the band members or one of the singers' influence would probably be This Damn War, because I think Carl put me in the mood to write something with a Southern tinge to it.
So, where to now for the band? What's the idea that you and John have got? Do you want to take this band out on the road, or what's the idea from now on?
Well, Carl and I are just dying to do shows, but it's still a little weird with COVID. And Johnny Kelly is with Quiet Riot practically every weekend. And obviously, we have 7 different singers or 6 different singers on this album with schedules and where everybody lives. It's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but it's something we're definitely open to.
Awesome. And I just realized I skipped one of my questions before by accident. John said that this album, in one way, is a bit of a homage to Black Sabbath. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, John said all roads lead to Black Sabbath, and everybody who tunes down and plays this kind of music has to be a little bit of a Black Sabbath fan. But funnily enough, so Dave, I don't know about you, but I'm like super straight. Like, I'm not a stoner, even though I like stoner rock. I'm straight,
Yep.
And I never was really into super long songs. Like, as much as I love Typo Negative or Black Sabbath, the songs are so long, and I have a short attention span. So I think, I always tell people, like, I would love to have a band where the songs are kind of like Sabbathy, but they're like the Ramones length. Even though I'm not a Ramones fan, I was playing along with Kiss Love Gun a few weeks ago, and I'm like, man, I love this album, and every song is like 3 minutes and 10 seconds, 2:59, 3:07, and that's basically what Patriarchs in Black is. A bunch of what I think catchy 3.5 minute songs with they don't meander on, and it's hard for you to get bored because the songs are short enough. I'd rather have people like say, man, I got to hear that again to like fast forwarding to the next song, Dave?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm like that as well. I was actually listening to a track yesterday on my way to work, and it was one of those tracks where you kind of drift in and drift out of the track, and you realize I've been listening to the same track now for 14 minutes. Like, it's a weird feeling because you like the music, but you want that track to be over, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. I mean, I just don't have the attention span to listen to an 8-minute song. I can respect it, but it's very rare that I'll throw on, a band like, I mean, there's even like classic rock songs. I'll be driving around and I'll hear a verse, chorus, boom, and then I forward to the next song. Like, I had it. I love it. Doesn't mean I don't love it, but I don't need to go any further than that.
Yeah, well, in radio, we call them toilet songs. They're the songs that we put on when we need to go to the toilet. So November Rain by Guns N' Roses is a classic for that. So, yeah, they are.
Well, that's why we covered Kashmir, just for you to go to the toilet, baby.
Yeah. Well, Dan, I guess to finish up, what would you like to say to Aussies out there who are thinking about going out and grabbing a copy of this album?
Well, if you like it, I would love for you to purchase it because it's the only way we can do another one, and I've already started writing the next one. Carl might even start singing one of the new songs next week. I love doing this. I'm so glad to have people like you who care and feel the same way I do. If you can't afford to buy it, I understand, but I hope you'll listen to it on Spotify. But if you can afford to purchase it, all the musicians involved would really appreciate it, and that brings us to a much better chances of us doing a follow-up.